Have you ever had that feeling that your own brain is secretly working against you? Like you're caught in these invisible loops you just can't seem to break? Well, it turns out you're not imagining it. Our minds are absolutely full of these predictable patterns, these mental shortcuts that, honestly, can hold us back from what we really want. So just take a second and look at this list. Which one of these really hits home for you? As we go through this, I want you to keep that in mind. Do you recognize yourself in any of these? Maybe it's feeling a little too sure of yourself, or being totally frozen by too many options, or that classic one, putting things off again. Or maybe it's that trap of always comparing yourself to others. Just knowing which one feels like your thing right now, that's the real first step. All right, so here's what we're gonna dive into today. We're gonna decode 4 of the most common mental traps our brains love to set for us. We're gonna look at that wild gap between how confident we feel and how competent we actually are. We'll explore why having more choices isn't always a good thing. We'll see what's literally happening inside your brain when you procrastinate. And finally, we'll tackle the heavy cost of the comparison game. Okay, let's kick things off with a big one. It's that feeling where you are absolutely convinced you're an expert, but the results just aren't matching up. Welcome to the very strange world of the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's this cognitive bias where, and this is the weird part, people with low ability in something tend to massively overestimate how good they are. This idea comes straight from the original 1999 study that blew this whole topic open. What the psychologists Dunning and Kruger found was pretty mind-bending. It isn't just about arrogance. See, the very skills you need to be good at a task are often the exact same skills you need to recognize how good or, not so good you are. So if you lack the skill, you literally don't have the tools to even see your own blind spots. And this is where it gets kind of wild. Look at the numbers here. In their experiments, the participants who scored at the very bottom, we're talking the 12th percentile, thought they were well above average. They estimated their performance was around the 62nd percentile. I mean, that's not just a little off. That is a massive gap between perception and reality. And you see this pattern everywhere, from new drivers who all think they're above average to amateur investors who think they've tracked the market. Okay, so let's move on to another mental trap, one that can be just as frustrating. It's being completely paralyzed by having too many choices. We're taught to think that more choice is always better, it's freedom, right? But the science shows that our brains can get totally overwhelmed. We call it analysis paralysis. There is a famous experiment that just illustrates this perfectly. Picture this. You're walking into a grocery store and there's a tasting booth for jam. On some days, that booth is overflowing with 24 different kinds of jam. A huge selection. On other days, it just has a nice, simple selection of 6. So the big question was, which one of these setups actually sells more jam? Well, at first, it looked like more was definitely better. The huge display with 24 jams was like a magnet. It pulled in 60% of the shoppers who walked by. The smaller one, only 40%. So, case closed, right? More variety equals more customers. But that is not the whole story. Because here's the twist. When it came to actually buying the jam, the results completely flipped. Of all those people who stopped at the huge display, only 3% actually bought a jar. But the small display? A whopping 30% of them made a purchase. Think about that. People were 10 times more likely to buy when they had fewer choices. Too many options literally paralyze their brains. Okay, next up. This one is for anyone out there who finds themselves constantly, and I mean constantly, putting off the important stuff. What if I told you that procrastination isn't just you being lazy? It's actually a battle, an active conflict going on inside your brain. And thanks to neuroscience, we're starting to see exactly what that fight looks like. So a really fascinating study from 2021 gave us a peek into this. Researchers watched the brains of mice as they waited for a reward. And they found that the activity of dopamine, this key brain chemical, it steadily ramped up the longer the mice waited for a better treat. That signal seems to be the brain's way of calculating that the value of waiting is going up. And in a way, your brain does the exact same thing when you choose to watch one more YouTube video instead of starting that big project. The immediate, easy reward is just winning the internal calculation over the more valuable future one. And that really gets to the heart of what dopamine is. You hear it called the pleasure chemical, but it's really more accurate to think of it as the brain's currency for motivation. It's what tells your brain, hey,
Pay attention. This thing is valuable. It's worth going after. So when you procrastinate, your brain isn't just being lazy. It's actually voting for the quick, easy dopamine hit from, say, scrolling your phone over the delayed satisfaction of the harder long-term goal.
And finally, let's talk about a trap that is so easy to fall into, especially today. The I compare myself to others and feel terrible problem. And look, this isn't you just being overly sensitive. This is a fundamental, hardwired part of being a social animal. How we think we measure up to the people around us has a direct and really powerful impact on how we feel.
The research on this is just crystal clear. This table basically sums it all up. When we make what's called a favorable comparison, when we look around and feel like we're doing better than others, our positive feelings shoot up and our anxiety goes down. But when we make an unfavorable comparison, when we feel like we're falling behind, the exact opposite happens. Our good feelings just plummet and our anxiety spikes. It's this psychological seesaw that we're riding all day, every day. So look, whether it's overconfidence or indecision, procrastination, or getting caught in the comparison trap, I want you to remember these are not personal failures. They are predictable human patterns. And the moment you can see a pattern, that's the moment you get the power to change it. So the only question left is, now that you know, what's your next move going to be?